Click subscribe to win this Dudek t-shirt. Extra large. Once we hit 1,500 subscribers, I'll send it out to one of the subscribers.
Welcome everybody. Once again, it's not about us. It's not about the panel. Tonight is only about Larry. And Larry is an amazing guy. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is that he flew over the space shuttle. We're going to talk about that later. So hold that thought. But he's been flying fixed wing. He has his private pilot's license since 87 or 88. I think it's 87. Is that what we finally decided? 87. 87.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still in high school. Don't tell nobody, but yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. And you've been a skydiver. You ran a skydiving from what, 93 to 2005. You took a hiatus, went back for some more time, been flying paramotors. Dude, this is going to be an amazing show tonight. Larry, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
I am ready to learn more about you. So for those of you out there that don't know Larry, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into paramotoring?
Well, let me tell you, I started with skydiving kind of by accident, not really, but I went to a skydiving place because I wanted to get some hours, to maybe move up the ladder, and started flying skydivers. And the first time I saw the door come open and people leave the airplane, I thought, oh man, I'm going to have to do this, So I did it twice that summer. And the next summer I owned a skydiving school. So I kind of bit off a lot more than I could chew, but I made it work. And so throughout my entire skydiving career, clear through about 2018, I stopped jumping. I made about 5,500 skydives. The problem with skydiving is when it comes to the parachute, you get 3 or 4 minutes. That's it. You're done. You're back on the ground. You got to spend 20 minutes repacking it, 30 minutes back up to the top, and then you get 3 or 4 minutes under the parachute. Well, that didn't make much sense to me. I'd seen the paramotors. I'd seen guys flying powered parachutes, powered parachutes, but not powered paragliders. And 3 or 4 years ago, no kidding, saw an ad on Facebook, 2 paramotors for sale. I bought them. They were crap. They were junk. But I kind of got a taste of what was going on. I never flew either one of them. Bought a brand new Monster, and an older wing, and and I've been flying ever since. I haven't looked at my logbook in a long time, but well over 100 hours of flight time on the paramotors. Now I can say this: I've skydived from a lot of cool different aircraft. I've flown a lot of cool different aircraft. I have a airline transport pilot rating. I've flown jets. Flown corporate, I've flown air ambulance, I've flown charter. Taking off in my front yard here in South Carolina and flying around for a half an hour is cooler than all of that stuff. It really is, so.
I think all paramotor pilots that fly fixed wing or other things say the same thing.
Yeah. I wanted to get in the air under the parachute, under the wing, and stay up for 2 hours, Dan and I did a flight a couple summers ago. I have a trike, and we went out and flew out over the Snake River for, I don't know, a couple hours, and, just up and down the Snake River and looking at stuff, and it's just spectacular. Plus, we had comms, and, I'm gonna hang Dan out here. Every time I fly with him, he's got to land and pee. I don't know what his problem is, man.
Just like a woman. What the hell? I get old.
I mean, it happens to all of us, but I really rag him on it, But no, it's kind of funny. But yeah, just getting up in the air and being able to spend a couple hours, I mean, yeah, the underneath the parachute after a skydive is obviously much more quiet. But yeah, there's been times when I've shut the motor down and, just kind of glide around, and, that's what I was talking about, electric start. Nice to hit that button and get back at it, So yeah, I of all of the flying that I've done, and I've done some really cool stuff, paramotoring is at the top, man. It really is.
I know that a lot of people have a question about this, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it right now. Is there any translation from doing 5,500 flights, or I guess jumps, I guess we call them when you skydive, jumps.
Skydive. Yeah.
Okay, skydive, to paramotoring? I mean, does it transfer over? I mean, is it really easy to go from skydiving to paramotoring or paragliding?
No. It would seem like it would be. And me being a type A personality that I am, and pilot, mechanic background, I thought I was just going to buy a paramotor, throw it on my back, and let's go fly. Pretty simple stuff, right? That is a ridiculous idea. 5,500 skydives gave me a lot of parachute flying background, gave me a lot of aviation background and aeronautical knowledge. However, getting a wing in the air with a rig on your back has nothing to do with skydiving at all. And I ate a lot of humble pie until I got in the air, and I was 95% self-trained. But to give you the basic answer, the knowledge that you gain from flying a parachute and flying in different air and different temperatures and different places, yes, that does translate over to flying paramotors, but you still got to get that thing in the air, and that has nothing to do with skydiving.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. I got humbled badly.
And you said that back in the day. So actually, when was it that you actually started doing paramotor? What year was that?
2000.
2000?
2020. 2020.
Oh,
Okay,
I was like, that go, man.
No. So here's what happened. I went to Salton Sea, had this brand new rig. I had an old Blackhawk wing. What wing was that, Dan? You remember? That's the one you soloed on.
That was the Velocity.
Velocity. Okay. So I'm down there at Salton Sea, and I got this brand new rig, and everything's, I'm all hooked up, and I'm running around in the sand and not getting in the air. And some nice guy named Marty walks over, and he says, "Have you flown?" I said, "No." And he says, "You're really close. What kind of training have you had?" And I told him, essentially none. Kiting. And he says, "Yeah, it looks like you can kite okay, but you're just not. You're missing like one or two little things." And within 15 minutes, I'm out cruising at 6 feet over the Salton Sea beach. So Marty's my man. He got me in the air, and he's actually stopped through Idaho and flown with me. And I keep up with him on Facebook once in a while. But yeah, it was difficult because I had to unlearn a lot of things. I know that sounds weird, but I really did. I had a lot of knowledge in other areas that I thought applied, and it didn't really apply. So landing, not a problem. Getting off the ground, tough as hell.
But you have a 100% chance of landing, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've never got stuck up there once.
Not if you get stuck in a tree, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something that as far as I can relate to that. I mean, and I'm sorry, can you hear me okay with the mask on?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's amazing how just one little tip from somebody more knowledgeable, or just somebody who's standing on the outside watching your technique, that one little tip can make such a huge difference. Whether how you're holding your arms as you're running, or how you're holding your A's or your posture. Just one little thing could make all the difference in the world.
It really did. And, I didn't know anybody at Salton Sea. I didn't know anybody. I just grab my gear, go out there and throw it out in the sand like everybody else, and run around and sweat until somebody comes over and takes pity on me and figures out how to get my dumb ass in the air. And so, I was a skydiving instructor. I was a maintenance instructor in the military. And so, I went through ASC and got those instructor ratings. And, I've worked with a few people from scratch, but Dan was my first one. Dan had some ultralight background, though, so he had aeronautical and aviation knowledge. But he was fortunate in that I'd made all the dumb mistakes. Well, most of them, and and I was able to get him in the air fairly quickly, time wise. He could kite really well, and he had bought some gear, and but I got to tell you that it was one of those you had to be there to believe it. I mean, the guy is kiting like a pro, and then we put the gear on his back, and he's kiting with the gear on his back with the engine off. We do that 2 or 3 times, and the winds are right, and the day is right, and everything's lined up, and it looks like Dan's gonna fucking do it. This is cool. And he pulls his rope, and I won't mention what type of engine it was. He pulls his rope, and the rope gets sucked in to the it's like an air cooling box or something,
Oh,
and
no.
it's jammed. It is jammed, and he has to take the whole damn thing apart, and we just cancel for the day, man. I mean, he was that close. So that's why I like electric start. I mean, if it doesn't work, maybe, at least you got maybe the backup plan. But his particular rig, that rig that he was flying, rope start only, and done for the day. And we both had this, man, we were long faced, man. I don't even know if we had a beer. We were so sad over that shit,
Oh,
But-
no.
Yeah, I mean, he was there. He was ready, But I've got pictures of him flying on the first day that he finally did fly, and and he came down. In fact, it was October, right around my birthday, 2 years ago, 21 or 21.
Yeah,
21,
it was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I sent him a picture of it. He's looking goofy sitting in the back of his truck with his gear. He's got this grin on that's about half a mile wide, and but man, we had to work to get him in the air, and it was mechanical problems because he was nailing it, but that's one of the things that I'm sure every single one of us has seen, either with themselves or with somebody else. You just get to that point where it looks like I'm going to just go and fly today, and oh man, one stupid little thing, and everybody else goes flying, and you sit there and watch. Been there, done that.
You haven't flown a trike yet, have you, Larry?
Yeah, I've got about 25 trike flights.
Nice. I was just gonna
Yep, with
say,
a nice hot cup of coffee.
last Saturday, this past Saturday was my first trike flight, but I was telling Will before I was gonna make a video about something, but and you can ask anybody that was there. My very first pull, the motor started. And number 2, I was able to fill that thing all the way to the top with gas because I was on a trike. I filled that something out.
Oh yeah.
I flew for as long as I think I could fly, landed, and I still had half a tank. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah. Well, I've flown the trike a fair amount. It's an older, it's an older model with a flat top on it, and but I put a coffee mug holder in it, and I take a thermos, and I got some hot coffee, and I got the cell phone, and I used to work 7 days on, 7 days off, and so when I go flying the trike on my 7 days off, I call people in the morning, hey, what are you doing? You at work? Yeah, I'm out here over the Snake River having coffee at 1,000 feet.
There you go.
just to piss my friends off. Nice guy, huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we got lots of questions in the super chat, but before we go to super chat, is there any questions on the panel before we go to the super chat? All right.
Okay, here we go.
Will Fly. Any questions in the super chat?
Yeah, you got a couple of questions, couple of comments. Tony Marzano wants to know if you remember the skydive boogie called Quincy.
I'd never been to Quincy. I was living in Idaho at the time, and a lot of people I knew went to Quincy, got to jump helicopters, and there used to be a 727 that people would jump out of the back of, and just all, biplanes and all kinds of stuff. I really wish I would have made Quincy at least once.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And that does remind me of a question I'll ask you. Well, actually, I'll ask it now because it's kind of relative. So,
Okay.
As far as skydiving or jumping out of a paramotor, what's your take on that?
I would say if the paramotor pilot is not familiar with skydiving, get familiar before you let somebody jump out, out of a 2-seater.
Yeah.
We all know the the legality of it is grayish, I guess you'd say. I mean, it can be an instructional flight and they choose not to land with you, right?
Well, I mean, that's true. That it certainly would be instructional. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can make it an instructional flight. And, you know, if the feds ever bugged you about it, you can say, well, you know, that he was also a skydiver. And after the instructional flight, he chose to depart the vehicle instead of land with me.
he chose to exit.
Yeah.
Exit stage left.
It's probably something you don't want to be posting a video about.
No, probably, and a lot of guys do. I've seen them, you know, but you know, here's the thing, just like anything else in aviation, the feds don't show up until something goes south. And
Yeah.
if somebody got hurt doing a jump off of a two-seater, you would see that exemption situation get really dicey,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, you know, from the
That's already
skydiver in me, I
happened,
say, yeah, that'd be awesome to go do that. I've jumped from an ultralight, you know, but yeah, legal, not really, but you know, don't post video.
Yeah. I like what you say there. Absolutely. I concur.
Yeah,
Have you ever done any night jumps?
I've done a couple of night skydives. I did them in the summertime. This was back when you had to do a night skydive to get your highest license, your D license. You had to do a solo, and then you had to do a four-way, and you had to leave the aircraft, you know, hooked onto the other three people. And that was in July, probably like 96 or 97, something like that. Well, in Idaho in the summertime, we get these great heat storms. And both of the night jumps that I did, I mean, it was completely dark out. There was heat lightning out to the south, out over the Owyhee Mountains. And you can see lightning while you're on a skydive at night. And I've only ever done 2 jumps at night. But the problem is it messes up your night vision. Even that lightning that far away, you know? And you're coming down and they got 4 or 5 cars out in the landing area and you can't see the damn ground anyway. So, you know,
It's there.
you plan on applying some Band-Aids and drinking beer after you're done because you know what's going to happen, you know? But yeah, night I only ever did 2 because they were mandatory. I'd never do one again, man. It's scary. It's weird, especially when you track off from the other 3 jumpers because you really don't know where anybody is. You know, you're wearing
That's
light sticks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's exciting, but pass on ever doing that again.
Hey, Will, I think you should do the thumbnail now before I die in this
I was-
costume.
Thinking that same thing.
I'm going to have to strip this thing off because I'm going to die. I'm sweating inside here. And
I bet.
But you're a trooper. You can
I
do it.
trooped long enough.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? 1, 2, 3. Steve, you weren't smiling. Got it.
Good deal.
Um,
All right, let's watch the Sith undress. Woo!
Oh,
Oh,
All right,
Oh, no,
Dark
that's
Lord.
scary.
where's
All
my
right,
glasses? That's the main. I want to be able to put my glasses back on. Now I can't find my glasses. Really?
I hate when that happens.
Me
Might be in your
too.
mask.
They were
You guys
right.
are such troopers.
Absolutely.
Thank you
It
so
is
much.
Are they
almost
seriously in my pocket? Oh my
Doing
god.
that.
7:30. So it's almost 7:30, guys. If you haven't at Will Fly yet, he does want to put you on the spinny wheel of when he thinks.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. We got some stay bad stuff we want to give away. So make sure you stay bad and wait for us to spin the spinny wheel here in a bit. Anyway, Will, was there any more questions in the super chat before we continue?
Yeah, and so Angela's asking where you're located. So I mean, where do you fly out of mostly? What would you call your home base?
My front yard.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
here's the deal. Here's the deal. Short synopsis of why I'm here, why I ended up here. Lived in Idaho 38 years, was flying out there, and the skydiving or the paramotoring community was growing there. However, I was burned out of my job. The Boise housing market was peaking, and so my house was use the word worth, way more than it was actually worth. So I bought property here in South Carolina, 53 acres, had a big house, older house, and 2 ponds full of fish, as we found out later. And enough room for a runway because I own a 1946 Stinson aircraft. Also wanted to eventually open paramotor school here, but I have 7 acres out in front of the house that I fly out of, but it's tight. There's power lines on one end and trees on the other 3 sides. I can fly in and out of there, and about everybody I know that flies could, but I had no interest in unleashing students into a situation where there's, even though it's 7 acres, you know, that sounds huge to folks that have flown a lot. But you take that student that's out there on their first flight, and I've seen skydiving students do some things that just defy complete logic, and I'm sure paramotor students have that same capability. So I just had 10 acres of timber taken down. I'll tell you the great story was I got paid X for the timber. I call a guy to take all the stumps out, and it's like 12 or 1,500 stumps. He quotes me the exact same price I got paid for my timber. So I sat on the front porch, drank coffee for 2 weeks, and watched guys take trees down and then take stumps out. And I ended up with nothing, except all the trees are gone now and all the stumps are pulled out. So eventually I have that all cleared out. 30 acres will be open with a 2,300-foot runway. We'll be able to land and take off paramotors in any direction, have plenty of open space. The scenery down here is, it's not like the Salton Sea, and it's not like Idaho, and it's not like moonshiners or something like that. It's flat. There's swamps and trees, and that's about it. But we can fly about 330 days a year here, 340 days a year. So I just walk right out the front door, throw my stuff out about 50 feet from the house, and take off. It's pretty spectacular. It's really spectacular.
Yeah, I've been keeping track of your posts on Facebook, so it looks like it's coming along nice.
Yeah. The runway should be in the next 2 or 3 months, and I've got an architect working on a campground plan, 7-acre campground. We'll have 10 full hookups and 10 non-hookups to start, and probably expand that to about 25 non-hookups. And I'm looking to have events here the size of bad apples, the size of moonshiners, you know.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Think
Yeah.
big. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. In addition to fly-ins for aircraft and you know, country music festivals, everything. This property is really amazing. It's a hidden gem in the middle of nowhere. I tell people we don't have a zip code. We're so far out.
Wow.
I don't think
So-
you can being able to go out your front door and take off. I
Yeah.
wish I could do that.
Oh, it's stunning. I mean, you get spoiled really quick. And now that the
Oh, yeah.
trees are down, now I can do that 2,000-foot long low pass, you know, and still have enough room to do a 180 at 6 or 7 feet and go back the other direction. And, you know, it's pretty awesome. It's really great. So I've only had one
Nice.
other guy come up here and fly with me. In fact, we didn't even fly together. He hadn't flown for a couple years. He needed some remedial training. And so I spent most of a Saturday with him, got him in the air, and, you know, but yeah, we're gonna host some nice events here, and you'll be able to camp here. You'll be able to fish. It's about 100 yards to one pond and about 200 yards to the other pond. Really beautiful scenery. Really nice place.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
let us know when that flying is. I'll take a
Yes.
trip over there.
Yeah. I'd like to do something in the fall when it's not hot. It was hot here this summer, like terrible hot, like on the sun hot. This time of year, daytime highs are 75, you know, 80, and the mornings are a little cool, but yeah, those are nice days to fly. You can still fly in shorts first part of October, you know.
Very cool. Yeah, you're welcome to, come back and check in with us, on the show or whatever. Just jump on
Absolutely.
Zoom and keep us updated how
Yeah,
things are
absolutely.
going over there,
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
Two warnings that's completely off subject. If you ever fly the beach, you have to watch out for two main things: people fishing and kites. People flying kites.
Mm,
Holy moly. I know when I did finally fly the beach, I went over at least 5 people flying kites. Luckily, they had them pretty low, but you could definitely get wrapped up in a kite wing
Oh my God, can you
or a
imagine?
kite string. Yeah.
That does not sound like a fun time at all.
I
No.
can't imagine.
So
Right,
yeah,
right
if you
now,
fly
yeah.
the
Video
beach,
about that,
just
yeah.
watch for kites, because if there's enough wind for them to fly a kite out there, then there's a good chance if you're flying right on the beach on the coastline that you may end up tangled up in a freaking kite string.
There you go.
So-
Or Supergirl, if she has to be flying in the air, you got to watch out. you know.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because that could be really bad. You know, Supergirl
yeah, I'll
crashing
keep
into scuba.
I'll keep people informed. And if you guys, those of you that don't have me on Facebook, pop in, send me a friend request, and I'm always posting pictures of the place. It's a gorgeous place, very photogenic. We get great sunrises. Now that the trees are gone, the sun comes up 20 minutes earlier. You know,
Nice.
yeah, because I had 60-foot pine trees that were within 500 feet of the house, and now the sunrises here are just stunning. It's really amazing. So we're going to have some great fly-ins here and
That's
have some great
great.
times and some good bonfires, and
Yeah.
maybe even tell some stories around the fire that are true.
Yeah. There's some stretches in there.
But it's about fly-ins and landing zones. Yes.
Yep.
We need more of them. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So it's a good location. It's only an hour from the beach. So, if we get winded out, run down to the beach and dip your toes in the sand.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're just trying to do everything you can to get me to drive across country, buddy.
Bring the whole family. You better.
Sometimes if you want to have a good time, you got to drive a little ways. I mean, I drove over an hour to get to that flight I went to a couple days ago. So, sometimes you just got to drive.
Yeah. Well, Dan,
Nope,
it's only
walk right out the shop, out to the backyard and fly.
4 days, Dan. Come on.
So how
3
do you
days.
guys- How do you guys know each other?
I
Larry?
taught Dan to fly.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
he the hardest student to teach?
No, he was great, man. He was great. He had ultralight background.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yeah. So he already had some flight time in a 2-seat ultralight. And so he had good aeronautical background and coming from a skydiving instructor background myself, you can smell an idiot a mile away. At least I can. And Dan was on the money from day one, and and now he's turned into me. He definitely flies more than I do now. I'm busy working on the place and don't fly enough. But are you over 300 flights yet, Dan?
I'm real close.
Yeah, so you've caught up with me, brother. You've caught up with me.
I'm real close. It's hard not to when you can walk out the backyard and you have
I
20
know.
acres to take off.
I know.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome to be able to do that, So
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time, Dan. I already know Larry said you were one of his best students. So
Yeah, I was going to say, Will must not be paying attention because he said that earlier.
yeah, Dan was great. And then, after he started flying, then there goes his budget. Now he's got a barn full of paramotor stuff, and he bought a trike, and it's got all kinds of. So I went to Idaho this past summer to visit, and he hooked me up with some gear, and somebody else threw a wing at me, and we went out and did a couple flights around the Payette River, and it was spectacular. It was amazing.
Isn't that weird how you buy your paramotor and your wing and you get your training, whether you self-train or not, and then you think, okay, that's all the money you have to spend besides gas. No, you got to buy a helmet, you got to buy communications, all kinds of radios,
Yeah.
warm weather gear, and then
Yeah.
now I want a trike. It just keeps on going. It just
And then I got to have that new throttle, and then I got to do the
yeah.
Yep.
Strobes.
Probes, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all right. There's plenty of other things you could waste your money on. At least this
That is
is an
true.
investment.
Yeah. So like I tell people between skydiving, owning airplanes and paramotoring over the past 40 years. I spent 90% of my money on that, and I've wasted the other 10% on mortgages and food. And that's probably not very far from the truth.
Yeah.
Sounds
You're
about
right.
right to me.
Yeah,
There's,
well,
there's a lot worse things you could spend money on, that's for sure.
that's a
Much
fact, man.
I'm aware. Yeah, she already knows
Yep.
how much money I've spent extra
Yep.
on top of what. But you know,
Yeah, I've probably told Dan this before, but if I die, you know, sell my gear for what it's worth, not what I told my girlfriend I paid for it. You know.
That's right.
Oops.
Yeah.
you told her what it was. Yeah, what you. Yeah, right.
It's
Uh-huh.
only $1,000, honey. Really? That was it. It was on sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make sure to be the first one knocking on the door when it gets listed, bud.
Yeah. He and I have snaked each other on a couple deals. But that's okay. I love Dan. He's awesome. He's awesome. He's going to bring his butt to South Carolina sooner or later.
Yep, next season for sure, buddy.
Got to do it, man. Got to do it. Yep. We'll love it. We'll get you some of that southern food down here. Oh my God. They got great food down here.
Be
Yeah,
careful.
I don't know.
because-
If it keeps getting as cold as it is right now, I might come down sooner than later.
That's okay. You know, I've thought about doing like a February get together, you know, like they do down at Salton, you know, for folks on this side of the Mississippi, you know, because the weather's not
February
bad
here
here in
is
February.
cold. It's cold. I'm not trying to fly in February.
Well, down here, you know, we got days in the 50s and 60s in February.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I could do
Oh,
that. If it's
yeah.
above 50, no problem.
Yeah,
Once it
yeah.
starts getting below 50, then I'm like, I don't know.
No.
about that.
Well, you know,
did
with
want a
some
couple-
good cold weather gear, you know, in the 40s is not bad.
No,
Yeah.
but I've done one at 36 or 37. And I really wanted to fly.
Well,
I did like,
Yeah, you don't stay in the air very long.
no, I did like 16 minutes.
that's the whole thing. You're like, oh, my hands, I can't even hardly. I'm
No,
landing.
well, you know what? This was in Idaho, man. Electric gloves, electric vest. I had heated soles for my boots.
Ah,
Yeah.
Heated
yeah.
soles. I didn't even think about that. I always think about heated socks.
No, heated socks
Right.
suck. Heated
Yeah,
soles.
they do.
Heated
Soles.
soles. Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna have
Heated
to write
soles
that
and a
down.
battery
I have to
pack. Yeah,
look that up because that's the one
Yeah.
thing I'm missing is feet. I got
Yep.
hands and jacket that are heated.
Yeah, look it up. Heated soles, man. They work great. They work great.
Yeah, they work phenomenal for flying.
Sean's
and
writing
I
it
also use
down.
them for
Heated
snowmobiling.
soles.
Yes,
Heated
I
soles.
am. I'm writing it down.
You
Absolutely.
might even be able to go
Yeah.
20 minutes with heated soles.
Good job, Sean.
I
Yeah,
usually don't
it's
have
a
any problems with my
thin-skinned
feet
wuss.
though.
Okay.
It's my hands that get cold. Once my
Yeah.
hands get cold, yeah, I'm done. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have no problem with the rest of my body being cold. When my hands are cold, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've been
that-
flying in the 20s, and that was like a 16-minute flight. Also, that's just a
Yeah,
little
that's
cold.
that's no fun.
Yeah.
That's
Even when
no
you gain a little bit of weight over the winter time, like I've been doing. Oh yeah. This is not a filter. I am getting a tad bit on the fat side, but hey, it's winter time. I want to go fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been cooking on that damn pit boss. That's why you're gaining weight.
Ain't
Yes,
that
it
the
is. Yep.
Yeah.
all the
I'm
time.
like, look at Sean posting all these pictures of the meat he's buying, and I know it's going on the pit boss. You just want to use your new toy, so you're gaining a lot of weight because you're cooking all that food on the pit boss.
Oh man, I'm loving every second of it. But my
I
little
just
Adam,
don't listen,
my,
like-
my little Adam 80 hates me now though. But whatever, right?
Sounds like I got somebody that'll do some cooking at one of these fly-ins, huh?
Woo. I like
There
me
you
some
go.
pit
Down.
boss cooking.
Come
Mhm.
on down.
You might be onto something there with February get together.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot of pent up demand by the time February comes around. People
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
get
Yeah.
ready, you know.
And I mean, you know, it's great going to Salton. I mean, but geez, from Idaho it was a 19-hour drive. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, guys here could come down from Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana. It's not that far. They can get down here in a day.
Yeah.
And once you get into that 60-degree weather in February and you're from up north, you're going to stay a few days and do some flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Especially if you have hookups.
yeah. We should have 10 full hookups and at least 10 spots that are non-hookups. But then there's 30 acres of field. I mean, we park anywhere, you know. I've got enough room to put 200 airplanes on the ground here. You know, I can certainly fit 200 campers and trailers and whatever, you know, so, but bring some food and things of that nature and any parts you need, because there's nothing near here. The closest pizza is 14 miles.
Okay. How about Walmart?
30.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Dang, look at it, boss.
Lowe's is 52 miles.
52 miles. How about
Wow.
Scottsdale?
You are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I am in the middle of nowhere. Yep. We're
How about
hoping to get
Signal?
AM radio next year.
AM radio and then satellite the following year.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Like, I know
Something
this
in
guy
the
named
sunlight,
Elon
huh?
might have something for you.
Yeah, we are in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing out here, man. The
That's
county I
awesome.
live in has 9,200 people. The
Wow.
whole county. One grocery store for the whole county.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yep. 4,000 square miles, one grocery store.
Damn.
Where's the nearest gas station that has ethanol free? For those that
Now that's cool.
will not fly without it.
4 miles.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's what I use in my airplane. So it's less than a mile from the airport. So pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
been my experience too. It seems like you out in the country, you don't have any trouble finding ethanol-free fuel
No.
because like farmers use it for a lot of
Yeah,
things.
it's not bad. And they also sell off-road diesel, you know, which is 30 or 40 cents a gallon cheaper to run in the tractor.
Or in your truck.
Yeah, well, I don't have a diesel truck, but yeah, you get caught doing that.
Mhm.
No bueno.
Don't
You know?
get caught.
Don't get caught. No, don't get caught. So, yeah, we got non-ethanol, and right now here it's about 4.20 a gallon, which, you know, not horrible. We're doing good on regular gas too. Some places are 2.85. So
Yeah, I think we got gas for what, 270 a gallon over that Circle K in Ward.
oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. It's still high in Idaho, I'm sure.
Yeah. Any other questions in
not
the
too
super
bad.
chat, Mr. Will or Scuba Steve?
You want to take it, Steve?
Ask me anything.
All right.
I'm
Well, okay.
ready.
So here, this is Tony wants to know, and I bet you I know the answer to this, but he wants to know who parties better, skydivers, PG pilots.
Got it.
Skydiver.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Skydivers.
That's what I would have thought.
They're
Really?
they're drunken pigs.
But I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I just-
Yeah, I've seen some things at skydiving parties and DZs that would put a normal person into therapy. I mean, I've seen some weird things. And,
Wow.
no, it seems like paramotor folks are well, I mean, there's an age difference though, too, you know. I mean, I was up at Moonshiners this summer. I guarantee the average age is 50. You know,
Yeah.
it's got to be. Think about it, you know. Dan's an exception, and he's 40. Are you 40 yet, Dan?
Oh yeah, I turned 40 this year.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't met a lot of younger guys, you know, in the paramotoring. You know, look around at the next paramotor meet you're at. You know, there's guys 45 to 55. You know,
Pretty much.
yeah,
55.
yep, and
That-
older.
The average age at Blackhawk at their school was 55. The
Yeah.
average age of the
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I hate to say it, but the cost of living and the cost of everything has to prohibit the younger generation that's just trying to
Yeah.
survive to be able to get into this sport.
That's
Yeah.
right. You know, 5 years ago, Harley Davidson said the average age of a Harley buyer, a brand new Harley, was 51. You know,
And when
because
was
a guy
that?
22
Just recently?
22-year-old guy can't afford to buy a brand new Harley.
That's
Yeah.
that's because when they're younger, they buy the crotch rocket instead of the Harley. Once they get older and wiser, then they switch over to Harley. That's
there you
exactly
go.
how that works.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Well,
Dan's
you'll
shaking
buy
his
the
head. He's
Harley
had 'em
for a
both.
little while until you end up getting somebody pregnant, and then you got to buy diapers instead of the Harley, and then you
Yep.
got to sell the Harley to buy the diapers.
Yeah,
There you go.
There's always a way to do both. Trust me.
You could marry a paramotor instructor, I guess. I don't know.
That's funny.
So I guess that's a good segue into since you talked about fly-ins. Are you planning on going to any fly-ins this next year coming up?
You know, I have been here since April of 22, and I couldn't make bad apples. I was still unpacking crap last year for bad apples, and this year, I had already decided I was going to go to Moonshiners because I'd flown skydivers up there, and I met the guy that runs the airport, and it's gorgeous up there at Mountain City in Tennessee. So I don't know if I'll man, if things start clicking here, I won't have any time to go anywhere else. You know, I'm looking to do like an event every 4 weeks. You know,
Oh, wow.
a fly-in for Cessnas, a fly-in for tail draggers, a fly-in for experimentals. You know, something every 4 or 5 weeks. You know, and
But the
maybe.
fly-ins are where you meet all, that's where you meet everybody. It's a big social gathering.
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why it's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's the classic $100 hamburger. You know, somebody will spend $700 to come out here and camp for 2 days. You know,
Yeah.
by the time they fly in, bring some food with them, or run over to the local grocery store, pay for a couple nights. You know, for like a full hookup if they've got somebody that's bringing a camper to meet them, whatever. I mean, but I've got the room, the geographic room, the space, and the weather. You know, that's why I chose here. Because the weather is just so nice all the time. I will say this, guys, summer sucks, not because of the heat, because there's no damn wind.
That's when you break the trike out.
Oh, no kidding. Absolutely. You got it, man. Yeah.
That's
We don't
that's
care.
not
We
so
don't care
bad
about
when
no
you're
wind.
not vertically challenged.
Well, that's true. That's true. You know, Dan, I got this great shot of Dan this past summer, foot dragging the Payette River, you know, and I come back and I said, man, I wish someday I could do that. And he said, well, why don't you do it? And I said, well, I can't get my feet to come down far enough to hit the water.
So
But yeah, we
Steve
got
Kennedy started
beautiful
when he
place
was
here, and I think we're
55.
gonna have some great fly-ins.
Awesome.
I think
Wow.
Supergirl flew away for a little while. She'll be back.
I guess so. And it's almost 8 o'clock. So whenever Supergirl gets back, we need to say hi to everybody in the chat. Until she gets back, I guess the question would be from Tony Marzano, will you be able to skydive at your LZ?
Yes, actually, I've been flying at Skydive Carolina part-time, and I've got verbal confirmation that we can probably get a caravan down here for a weekend boogie at some point in time.
I don't suppose
As
you
long
get
as
very
you're not
many
flying it.
TFRs in Idaho, right? You don't have any TFRs.
No,
I wouldn't think so.
No,
Yeah, the
down
president's
here,
going to be
I
going
mean-
to Idaho, and we need to put a TFR. That just doesn't happen. Maybe
No,
there's
that-
a potato shortage or something. Yeah.
Now down here, the closest airport is 3 miles. That's where I keep my airplane for now until I get a hangar built. But yeah, I could accommodate 100, 150, 200 skydivers here for a 2 or 3 day weekend, and I
Wow.
plan on doing that once a year also.
Nice.
I ran a drop zone for 12 years. I tell people I made about $1 a year. You know, sometimes it's just not that profitable, but I love hosting. I hosted 35, 36 events over the 12 years that I was there. I love hosting these events. I love seeing the skydivers come in and have a great time, and you know, they can whoop and holler here all night if they want to, and we got plenty of room for landing, you know, novices, experienced people that want to swoop their canopies, whatever. So yeah, we're going to try and do an annual skydiving event also. So I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that'll be
confused.
exciting.
I thought you were in Idaho. Are you in Idaho or are you in South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Oh, well, hell, I'm sitting here talking about Idaho. And I'm just way off. Never mind.
That's okay. That's okay. No, I spent 38 years out there, but I'm here now.
I'm just all about Idaho, and you're like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But we'll
That's
just go
okay.
with it.
That's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
you don't want to come here right now. It's too cold.
Yeah, and that's why I left, man. I was just burned out on the cold, and you know, I was working 7 days on, 7 days off, and on my 7 off days, it's too cold to go do anything, including flying. You know, and I never got into snowmobiles like Dan does. You know, I just, I I was looking for some place where it wasn't cold 5 months of the year. So when it's cold here, it's 50. You know, so that's not bad.
No, I think our mean temperature for winter is about 50 degrees also. I mean, it gets colder, it gets warmer, but yeah, I think our mean temperature is about 50 also.
Yeah, that's not bad. Hey, as long as you're not fighting frost and snow, put a sweatshirt on. You're okay.
Paul wants to know what type of jump plane you had, Larry.
I had a Cessna 182,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of the standard for small skydiving centers. I've been fortunate enough though to fly Twin Otters with skydivers, Caravan, a Super Caravan, which has an engine that's 225 horsepower more than a regular Caravan. I could take 14 jumpers to 14,000 feet in about 11 minutes. It's stunning.
That's a big question I have for you. Like, and I don't know how many people I've talked to, but they say they'll see me paramotoring and they'll go, you know, I was thinking about doing that, but I don't know if I'd rather go skydiving or paramotoring. Which would you suggest over the other? Since skydiving, you get what, 3-4 minutes and you're on the ground, but with paramotoring, you go from the ground up. So what do you think you would recommend to people between those two?
I would recommend a
Paramotor.
tandem paramotor flight. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're paying a lot of money to free fall for 45 seconds and get a 4-minute parachute flight. That's it. And I know,
Absolutely.
I mean, I've done 3,500 tandem jumps. You know, I made a living on people getting excited about 30 or 40 seconds of free fall on a 4-minute parachute ride.
I mean, some people, that's all they need. You know, they just want that one thrill and they're done. But people that want to pursue it, you know, I think they should get into paramotoring. If it's something you just want, hey, I want this off my bucket list, I want to skydive one time, then that's probably what you want to do. But
yeah, it far less expensive to learn to fly paramotors. Even if you're buying one, it's still way less expensive than skydiving. I mean, you know, when I started in, you could buy used skydiving gear, good, solid used skydiving gear, $3,000, $4,000. Now you can drop 20 grand easily on brand new equipment, you know, and then pay $30 a jump.
And
So
have you done base jumping yet?
I never did. I had a great friend that was a world-class base jumper, and he's the only one I would have ever allowed to train me. And we just never got together. He lives up in Montana. We just never got together, but I would have jumped the bridge in Idaho for sure. But you know, that was also 20 years ago. The older you get, the less that seems like an awesome idea.
You just
You
got,
know?
you get to put them on those cool fly suits though. when you do
Yeah,
base
and
jump, don't you?
no reserve. No
Oh,
reserve.
true.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
reserve parachute.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Yeah, everybody's shaking their head. No, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that.
I don't think I would either.
So yeah.
They-
So I mean, I don't fly my paramotors without a reserve. You know, there's just base jumping is awesome. It's cool, but if I did ever have an interest in that, Butch is rolling his eyes.
Isn't it more,
But here's the other thing, man. You know what? Everybody's individual choice, man. Do what you feel is right. You know, I mean, I've used my reserve numerous times skydiving. You know, and I was down in Salton when those guys had a midair a couple years ago and took about 6 feet off of one guy's wing, and he landed it. You know, they had a midair at about 125 feet, going opposite directions, and one guy got something like 11 cells torn off of one end, and he landed it. He landed it. He got scun up, you know, and his gear got busted up, but he walked away, you know.
I don't know, those bungee jumpers, they scare me. I think that'd be more scary than base jumping.
There you go, Will. There's some proof of proof of what the heck just happened there?
That's not even your name on that picture. I saw.
Hey, that's my wing, man. There's another one. This is shots that Nate took of me. Why does it do that when I slide? It shouldn't be doing that. I only got 3 pictures.
So were you guys aware of that midair at Salton where the guy tore his wing up?
No.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, that was
I give up.
2021. Man, it was brutal. It was brutal. So, but he was low enough. I don't think he could have tossed a reserve. I don't know. Maybe not. Hard to say, you know.
I will throw my reserve at 50 feet if I have
Yeah,
to.
I mean, go down,
Any
you know.
extra fabric in the air will
Yeah,
slow you
go
down.
down swinging, man.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, and here's the thing with me because of my skydiving background and I've had a couple people walk up to me at, you know, at Salton Sea or at Moonshiners or, you know, other guys that I've flown with in Idaho. I mount my reserve in the middle above my head. Yep.
Really?
Because if I break my throwing arm or if I'm tangled up with my throwing arm and my reserve is down on my right hip and all I got is my left hand, I'm not getting to that reserve. But with the reserve up high above me, I can get it with either hand. Doesn't matter.
I like the waist mount, like right in front of me.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just right there. Boom.
If
boom.
it's symmetrical, you've doubled your chances of surviving.
Yeah.
If it's down in your right pocket, you know, and there are some great, you know, I mean, I fly a comfort seat, you know, dudek, and I could put it down there on the right side or the left side. I want it up high where I know it's not going to get tangled in stuff down in there, and I can throw it with either hand, you know. So that's just me, and I don't notice any. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of weight difference, you know, it changes your vertical center of gravity, so to speak, because you're putting 6 or 7 pounds up there above your head, but I don't notice it. And, you know, take off, get in the seat, kind of look back, let go of one steering toggle, reach up. Yeah, everything's there. It's all good. Away we go, you know? So that's just my personal preference, but that comes from a skydiving background.
Yeah.
So whether that's a good idea, bad idea, just like people that don't fly with one at all, still make the choice that you're most comfortable with.
Exactly.
Because that's what, as I've taught Dan, you want to be comfortable in the air, no matter what. That way, when things do go a little south, you know, you're not thinking about something else, or, you know, you're going to handle the situation. So,
Well, James is saying, what if you mount that and it reduces your thrust? I think where Larry's talking about mounting it, it's almost directly behind his head, which
Yeah.
your helmet and everything's blocking that area anyway. So
right.
the
It makes no
reserve's
difference.
not causing any extra resistance.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes any difference. I don't think it makes any difference aerodynamically.
Ballistic reserve. Yeah, that's what we need. Just
I
shoot
have not
thing.
noticed a difference, and I've had it in both different places numerous different times.
Yeah, yeah. And on the trike, I have it mounted up high on the trike also. You know, so that's just where I prefer it. Yeah, but that is absolutely a skydiving background based decision. You know?
Like what you said about the, you know, you'd reach back and you'd actually touch the handle of the reserve, basically. So when
Yeah.
so on every flight, I make it a point to reach down, touch my knee, then touch the pull handle of my
Yeah.
reserve. Just,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm upside down or all whacked out and I don't know what way's up or whatever. I always know my knee better be in front of me still.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
just to kind of get that memory muscle.
Yep.
But that's a good point about the.
Well, you know, you mentioned the muscle memory. It's funny when I started flying paramotors. You know, I'd done 5,500 skydives. The first time I put it on, I got everything all buckled down. Everything. I reached down on my right butt cheek to make sure my pilot chute is in the right place, because it feels like a skydiving rig. You know, especially a tandem rig. Tandem rig weighed about 70 pounds, and it's just force of habit to reach down there and. You know, and I catch myself doing that even today. You know, I'll put my rig on to go fly, and I'll reach down and go, "What in the hell? I haven't made skydive in 6 years, and I'm still. That's just part of my, you know."
So 5,500 dives, though 5,500 you know, that's a lot of times compared to how many times you've been up in a paramotor though.
Right. Yeah, I've been up in the paramotor 300 times, but I've made 500 attempts.
Oh,
2 feet in a heartbeat said they did a touch and a go, a touch and a go. Wow, a touch and go, and they're reserve deployed.
I've seen
but-
that. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, but it happened before he took off, so he was able to stop. Thank goodness,
Oh
because
my
that
God.
could have been bad.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't even imagine
That
getting
sounds
yanked
like the
back when you
pins on
just
his
start to go
reserve.
back up in the air and it yanked you back. That would be a bad crash.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Daniel? What'd you
Hmm.
say?
Do what now?
That sounds like his he didn't check the pins on his reserve pocket to make sure they were fully in place.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got cables on mine, and that's a skydiving thing too. You know, the longer the cable, yeah, you're going to be able to pull it out. But if you have just pins, pins can pop loose. I've seen it happen skydiving. You know, I've had it
I've seen
happen.
that happen a lot with the pins, not so much the basically weed eater string that holds them in. I mean, what do you think is better as far? I mean, since you got skydiving experience, what do you think holds a reserve in better?
Well, the cable. You know,
Cable.
absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I was jumping equipment that was made down in Florida, tandem equipment, and I hadn't actually started jumping the equipment, but I was doing video, and they used to use just a pin, a skydiving pin. It's a little curved pin that's only about an inch long, and so it can definitely get moved out. And without going into the mechanics of it too deeply, the bag that your parachute is in can come out of the harness, but on a tandem, you haven't released it. So now it's just kind of swirling around on your back. You know, if you're on a solo jump and that pin would come out, the bag comes out and the parachute opens. When I started jumping tandems, they had gone to the 6-inch cable, and that absolutely 100% eliminated that issue. Okay.
Hmm.
Coincidentally, Dan wasn't with me then. I don't think he had, I don't know if he'd started flying or not, but I went to a civ course, and the equipment that they used for towing us out over this lake had a pin instead of a cable. All right. So if you've ever done a civ course, you get up to altitude, you pull the release, which is pulling that pin out of a little loop, and now you're free. We had a particularly large guy. He was probably 6'4", and he was jumping I think a 39-meter wing or something like that, or flying a 39-meter wing. And that's what he brought for the civ course. Because he was so heavy on his only 2 toes, the pin came out while he was out over the lake. The first one was at about 600 feet. And he's got no chance of getting back to the shoreline, and goes in the water. And they dry his stuff out, repack and reserve. The next day he gets to about 1,600 feet and the pin comes out. A 6-inch cable absolutely eliminates that. I don't think any paramotor reserves should have a pin. They should have a cable. You're going to be able to pull more than 6 inches, obviously, to get those cables loose and the parachute out of the container and into the breeze. So safety, safety, safety. Like you said, I can't even fathom having a reserve come out while you're down low and maybe get yanked and stopped. And I mean, that could kill you. It really
Yeah.
could.
No
You know?
doubt.
So
No doubt.
look at your reserves. See if maybe you can get a cable on there instead of a pin, you know? It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the pins, that's for sure.
No. Well, and especially if it's on your belly, it can get knocked around on a launch or something. If it's down in your right side, you know, you're scooting around, you get some turbulence, that pin pops out, and now maybe half the bag is trying to fall out, and it just eliminate it. Put a cable on it. You know, my 2 cents
absolutely.
for what that's worth.
You flew during eclipses. Your go-to paramotor is a Monster 185 My 20 dual start with an epic 27-meter. You've flown in the desert. You flew over 10,000 feet MSL. Over at the Salton Sea, you did a canyon flight. So many cool things. I don't think we're going to have time to talk about all these, man. But I guess talk to us real quick because next year we're going to have the eclipse, and April 8th, I believe that we're going to have like a get together over here over at Run to the Sky in Paramotor, Arkansas. So tell us really quick, because you've flown it, you've done it. What is it like to fly during a solar eclipse? Ooh.
Well, I flew my airplane during the solar eclipse a few years ago in Idaho, and I was in that band of totality or path of totality or whatever they call it. Some magic thing.
That's it.
Yeah. It was weird for a couple reasons. One, the sky got really, really weird orange first because there was some smoke in the air. And then it got dark, but it was still orange. Now, obviously, you got to wear the dark shades, with the pinholes and whatever. So I'm still trying to fly this airplane VFR, at 7,000 feet. But I'm in this band and I'm hearing all this other traffic on the radio, and you can't look out to see where they are. You're just thinking, well, I guess if I die during a solar eclipse, that'll make a good headline. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it was really spooky, weird inside the airplane when all the lights went away and it was dark for, I don't know, 80 seconds or something like that. But, and I've got an old airplane, a 1946 airplane. It doesn't have any instrumentation that isn't 1946, so I don't have an artificial horizon. I have, nothing, tachometer, vacuum gauge, whatever. So that was pretty strange. That was really strange. I'd like to do the next one under a paramotor, because I know if I just let off the throttle, I'm just going to keep going straight and go down a little bit or set to cruise control or whatever. So yeah, I'm thinking about coming over to see you guys in April, Sean.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. Definitely want to be there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I
It
think
looks
it's gonna
like
be
the space shuttle wins. I'm just saying. Everybody said shuttle.
space shuttle wins. Okay, so we're gonna
All
ask
right.
them about the
I'm
space
also
shuttle.
curious.
So I've posted this story a couple times on Facebook, and I didn't get a photograph of it, but I've got a great photograph of the space shuttle as it's piggybacked on a 747, which is the way NASA used to move the space shuttle when it didn't land in Florida. All right. So I'm flying skydivers in Arizona around, I don't know, spring of 2001 or something like that. And we would take the skydivers up to about 14,000 MSL, and the field elevation there is 1,500. So they're getting a 12,500 foot skydive. So it's Arizona and it's out in the desert, but it's still pretty busy because there's airways nearby. So I get this call on the radio from our dispatch on the ground from Manifest, and they said, hey, you've got traffic coming in about 4 minutes. It's a 747 at 10,000 feet heading east. Well, right away that 747s don't normally fly at 10,000 feet, so it's got to be the space shuttle. And I asked him, I said, does it have anything attached to it? They said, yes, it does. So I slow down my climb and I time everything. So I'm flying the jump run slower than normal and keep looking out my right side because I'm heading south. They're coming from the west. And no shit, there it is. There's the 747 with the space shuttle on the back of it, about 2,000 feet below me. And the thing looks like a freaking Amazon warehouse. It's so damn big. And it looks like it's going 12 miles an hour because it's so damn big. Right. And so I time it, and I'm talking to Albuquerque Center, and they say, yeah, you have the traffic. Yeah, I got the traffic, because it's all VFR. And we have one tandem on board, just one, which was unusual. And the guy didn't buy video for his tandem.
No.
Oh no.
Oh, no, is right. So I time it so that everybody can be in free fall and maybe catch some of the wake turbulence from the 747 and the space shuttle. And the dumbass didn't have video. So I look over to my right. Here comes the space shuttle, kind of goes right in front of my nose, and I'm going perpendicular. And there it is, right out my left window. I flip on the green light. Everybody goes. I nailed the spot, and the timing was perfect. Nobody got it on video.
Nobody even with their phone, nothing?
No, this is 2001, man.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean,
so long ago.
It's kind of hard
Yeah,
to jump with
the
a bag
video-
phone.
They have their old
Video
Nokia, their Nokia
Big old-
cell phone.
Yeah,
Damn, I don't have video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old VHS handy cam.
Yeah, exactly. So the first video camera that I jumped the battery is bigger than a GoPro. It weighs more than a GoPro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good
So
old
this
days.
poor guy. So I tell people, yeah, I flew right over the space shuttle. There you
You
go.
ever seen that, Larry? This is the very first GoPro, the GoPro
that's
Hero.
What year was that?
I don't even know, man. This thing takes the gigantic SD
Oh
card.
yeah.
I gave one of those to my kid
Well-
last year.
Well,
This
they're
is
up to
so
12.
old. It don't even. I was like, I'm gonna get on the GoPro train, and then I waited from this all the way up to 10 before I
Yeah.
bought another one.
I still got my mini DV cameras. So, you know, those
Yeah.
big old boxes that went from, you know, the VHS down to the mini DV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got my first video camera from skydiving. It was over $700 in 1995, and it had a VHS C,
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
a little
Wow.
video cassette recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, yeah, the GoPros and the 360s and everything now they are spectacular for what we do. And I've
Wait,
gotten
is Butch Aerosmith? I'm just wondering.
No, man, I'm a hippie, man.
Oh, you're just a regular hippie. Okay, I thought you was
Just a
Aerosmith.
regular hippie. No.
Regular hippie man. Come on now, man.
just a
Yeah,
hippie
man.
What's that guy's name? The Aerosmith guy.
Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler.
There you go. So I don't know anybody else that's flown over the space shuttle. I haven't met anybody yet. So
I
It's-
think
it's
you're
a good
it, man. You got the world record there.
it's a pretty
It's
good
okay.
story.
They say if you don't get it on video, it never happened. That's what I hear.
That's true. You know,
Yeah.
I was on a skydiving load with a bunch of young kids, and everybody's got a GoPro on the chin of their helmet, on the top of their helmet, on their wrist, on their butt, on their foot, wherever. And we're on our way up to altitude, and I was doing a tandem, and I said, "You young guys and gals that got all these GoPros all over the goddamn place, when I started skydiving," I pulled the gray beard on them, you know. I said, "When I started skydiving, when we got down from a jump, we just told the story and remembered it. We didn't have all this
Hey,
You
next
know,
week,
every-
Will, we can just say we flew over the space shuttle. We'll be all right.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could.
Yeah, you'd be fine. You'd be fine.
Larry told the story, and then they had the little chisel thing and put it in stone.
There you go. There you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
I said, yeah. We just remembered the shit, and it got better at every campfire.
There you go. There you go.
But the space shuttle story is absolutely true. It was amazing. That was maybe the pinnacle of my my flight career to see something like that in the sky. It was stunning, and really,
Yeah, it's
it
a
looked like
shame.
it was going 12 miles an hour because
Yeah.
it's just so big. You know, he was probably doing 200 knots, 250.
If only
knots.
it were, you know, they were still doing the space shuttles now, then maybe you'd have another chance to catch video of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's come and gone.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool deal though. Pretty cool.
You just need to get a hold of William Shatner. That's all.
Yeah.
Say, hey, dude, don't you know who I am? Hook me up, man.
There you go.
Risk versus reward.
Take me over.
Exactly. All
you go.
right. So our
Man.
last question is, what's the worst skydiving malfunction that you have had? From Tony Marzano.
Oh,
Mm.
Oh, he's digging way back for this one.
He
man.
has to, he has to look back on his ding, ding, ding.
No,
ding,
no, it's not
5,000
digging away.
jumps or something.
It's choosing between several.
Several.
Go
Not the
Oh,
worst.
my
You had to
God.
have a worst.
Give
You
us
know,
a
when you-
give us a kind of bad and then the bad. Give us a good and a bad.
Okay, the
Maybe
kind of
maybe
bad
an
is the
8-foot tandem.
yeah, these are tandem. So the parachute opens and you break a couple lines or something. You go into an immediate spin under the parachute. You know,
Wow.
and you know you got to get rid of it. And so you just use your left hand. You pull the student's head, put your hand right on their forehead, pull their head back. Go to the first handle on the right, which is the cutaway handle. That separates the main parachute from you. Go to the left side, pull the reserve handle. That will open the reserve. However, back to the cable thing we talked about earlier, there's a lanyard on the reserve so that when the main leaves, the reserve deploys from the cutaway. Or you
So
can,
it's like an auto deploy. Gotcha.
yeah. It's called a reserve static line.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I've had a few where I knew right away there's no way I can land this thing, you know, and we got to get rid of it. So that's pretty run of the mill. That's not too bad. My worst one though, I've only had one or two where I thought, you know what? this might be how I die. Do you have that micro thought, you know?
On a
before-
tandem? On a tandem?
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
The question is, do you put the passenger below you or do you land first?
every passenger lands first because they're hanging lower than me. Sidebar: I took a guy 6'7" once, and he landed, and I was on his back, and he was standing up.
Backed him. All right, nice.
Dude, he is whooping and hollering. He's excited. He just did his first skydive. I said, dude. He says, what? And I said, I need to land too, man.
Oh my
I'm only
gosh.
5'3". He's 6'7". It was ridiculous. It was
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's funny.
So I'm doing a tandem, and through probably 51% my fault and 49% really bad luck, we leave the airplane. I throw the drogue parachute, and if Tony, who's asking the question, is familiar, he'll get this right away. I throw the drogue parachute, and it wraps around my student's ankle, and we are now strapped together, head down, going over 200 miles an hour, and I can't deploy the reserve because that's what pulls the reserve out, and it's wrapped around his ankle.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
I thought terminal velocity was 125.
When you're solo and flat and stable.
Uh-huh. So you're head down because the drogue is on the foot. That's why.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Okay.
now
You were
I'm.
booking it towards the ground.
Oh yeah.
Like a bullet.
Very much so. And that first thought was, wow, I've really effed this up. I might die. And the only option is go to the reserve parachute at over 200 miles an hour. And
And just hope those lines are
Just chop
good.
his leg off real quick so the drone can go out.
guess what? It worked. I'm here.
Yeah, did you survive?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm in suspense here. What, did you die?
What happened? Well, I hate to steal the show, but I lived. So but the poor guy, it was wrapped around his ankle so badly, and it's still inflated, even though we're flying under the reserve parachute. He's got his right heel almost up on his butt, and he is making a lot of noise about how painful this is.
Sure.
And we managed to come in, and he's in front of me, and I've had a couple of instances where I've had to shield the passenger from injury on a tandem reserve landing, or I've had somebody pass out on me, so I have to shield them when we land because they're just literally dead weight. But we got on the ground, and he didn't have any real injury, just sore, and that was if all of my other reserves were 6s, that was a 10. That was bad. That was
Did you let him
real
go
bad.
up again for free?
Did he go up again? No. You paid to come down under a parachute.
Yeah, you just didn't say which one, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it was and we didn't get a lot of free fall out of it. We got enough to go over 200 miles an hour, and that was pretty spooky, because it either works or there is no other option, and getting slammed home from 200 miles an hour under an open parachute, that'll leave a mark or two.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's pretty much easy to say that guy's probably not a paramotor pilot right now.
No, or a skydiver. No, he was a younger guy. I mean, if it had been somebody older, they probably would have broken their leg or broken their ankle or dislocated something. But that was one of those ones where you get on the ground and you think, do I really need to do any more of these today? So I took an hour break, grabbed another rig, went back up. You got to do it. I mean,
Wow.
how many of us have botched 2 or 3 launches and then got in the air?
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to do
A
it.
lot of people that come up and ask about the sport, it's almost like you can either have a really long conversation with them or immediately cut to the price And then you know if they're serious or not. If you go, hey, you know, you're going to spend about 13 grand to get you a paramotor and a wing and training, that usually stops it right there.
Yep.
If you go on about, well, you know, you really need to get training so you know which kind of equipment. If you do all that, you're going to be talking for 30 minutes before you get to the point to where you tell them how much it is and they go, oh, never mind. You know, so might as well get the price thing out of the way.
Yep.
And then if they're still interested, then I go into the rest of the story, because otherwise you're just breathing hot air to them. Because
I
Got some
agree.
good financing for you. There you go. We can
you're right.
Yeah,
But you
I
could
agree.
finance it. You know, you could pay this thing off before you die.
For less than a cup of coffee a day, we can get you in the air with a paramotor and a wing.
There you go. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. Same way with skydiving. You know, I always wanted to be a skydiver. I've heard that a gazillion times. I go, well,
Just
you know,
a tip 13. Just saying. There we go.
yeah, nothing's cheap. Now, the first I've been flying so long. First airplane I bought, beautiful airplane, was only $7,500.
Wow.
But it was 30 years ago. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's all relative.
Did
It's
you
all
at
relative.
least get them a clean pair of draws?
Yeah.
And
Here's
And
the one thing
also-
I can leave you all with, and it pertains to every aspect of aviation, whether it's ballooning, ultralights, Dan can back me up on this, paramotoring, skydiving. It will never be as cheap as it was yesterday.
No.
That's
Yes,
true.
your very first flight is the most expensive flight ever, and the rest of the time's free.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I want to know is when Daniel's flying, like if he's doing paramotoring, does it look like he has a full head of hair when he's flying because his beard goes up?
It's pretty wild. I've got some
You can
pictures
see him when he comes
mid-flight
down
that
from a
look pretty
landing.
crazy.
It looks like somebody stuck his face in a blender. You know, he's got all his
Just
beard hair everywhere.
And
as long as
just
it won't go back into the prop, you're good, man.
Yeah.
That's his reserve, man. Hey, you know, that's got to be the one thing that sets the two apart, paramotoring versus skydiving. I mean, it has to be the degree of thrill or exhilaration. I mean, it's got to be much more intense with skydiving. Just has to be.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, you know, obviously every skydive, you save your own life,
Yeah.
which, you know, the element of danger is far less here with paramotoring, but definitely still at the forefront of my mind when I make flights or when I train somebody, or, you know, I'm supposed to work with some guy in a week or so here, and he's got some flying background. He's a private pilot, got his own equipment, you know, wants to come out and learn. I just saw a picture, and I'm sure you guys saw it on Facebook within the last 2 weeks. Somebody that did a ground start, and engine got away from him, and right arm, he had about 60 stitches in his right arm. I don't know if you guys have seen that
No.
picture, but wow.
Saw a video where an instructor was getting a student to ground start their paramotor, which I think is
That
ridiculous.
was I saw that one recently too, and that one blew up.
Yeah, I don't understand why, especially if you're an instructor, you're teaching these people how to be safe on a paramotor. Why would you teach them, hey, it's okay to ground start if you know what you're doing? No, the hell it is not either.
No.
That motor
Well,
can
you
take
know-
off anytime. There's no reason whatsoever ever to ground start your paramotor on a back or on a rack. That's
One of the cool
Absolutely.
things is that we've done is that we've simulated something like this, right? So we had them where they would pretend to like start. And all I did is had my knee next to the prop, and I just used my knee to go forward a little bit. And they could not keep the paramotor from coming towards them with all of their might, knowing that I'm just going to lean in a little bit, and they
Yep.
could not keep the paramotor up. So if you did something like that wherever you are, where just somebody gently pushed that prop towards you while you were pretending or at least in that spot where you would normally, or if you would do something like that, and when you realize that if you put all your might into it, that little bit of pressure, you can't hold them up. Why would you even try to ground start? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have
And
way
Dan
too many
and I have flown-
pictures.
Dan and I have flown with a guy out in Idaho. His name is Dan also. He got a rig, and you guys got to be familiar with this. it's got an electronic system that will shut the engine down after X number of RPMs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
safe start.
almost all the scouts come with it.
Yeah,
Scout, is that what it is?
yeah.
Yep.
So it can start blasting away on RPMs. It'll shut itself down.
Hmm.
You know. Now
That still gives you enough time to chop something off.
absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I
The
think
only
that's
issue with safe start is if your motor goes out while you're flying. If you go to restart your motor, you have to make sure to let it idle for a few seconds before you hit the gas. Otherwise, it'll shut right back off. So
yeah.
if you're in the air and you restart, you can't just hit the gas, if you're getting low, because you'll just kill the motor again. That's the only bad part about safe start, but it can save somebody from getting their arm chopped off or fingers chopped off. So, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to talk about that from a practical standpoint as far as ground starting. And I'm not saying that I did this, but in theory, if I were to have ground started a couple of times and it almost got away from me, I would say I'll never do that again. So I'll just put that out there. But probably if somebody's thinking about ground starting, they've got the motor on their back. It's freaking 95 degrees outside. They're sweating and they go to pull the motor and they pull and they pull and they pull and they can't get it started and they get frustrated. And then there is the tendency to take the motor off the back and start working at it from that angle because it's a lot easier.
Yep.
But it's also a lot.
Yeah, well, you should go back to the basics. You have something wrong with your engine that needs fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but from a practical standpoint, the reason I'm saying this is because I've been there, and I know what it feels like that desire to just take that motor off your back and give it a
ground
good
start it.
pull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Raise your hand if you've never done it.
I've never. That's ridiculous.
I've never ground started. It's on my back or I'm not doing it. Or
So
on the ground.
Kevin and Scuba, well, how many flights you got, Scuba? You got 12 now, right?
11 or 12, something like that. Yeah, I'm still new. I'm still a new guy.
No, I'm not. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because, I've gone for a little over 4 years now. So it's just, I'm glad I learned the lesson when I did.
Well,
Definitely. You got all your fingers and toes. So yeah.
Well, there wasn't as much emphasis by my instructor about ground starting. That was something that I started picking up when I hung around my local group and then started watching some videos about it and reading.
That's a big safety thing right there. That's one of the main things that I think should be taught at every school is not to ground start your paramotor. I mean, they can get you hurt.
Sean goes over that pretty regular with every student.
I'm sure Sean does. I know
he does.
Besides your streets being straight and your carabiners being locked, ground starting, I'm sure.
That 11 seconds for that checklist it'll save your life.
There you go.
When that moment comes, and it will come in your paramotoring career where you're thinking about doing it, that's the point where I hope you remember this episode.
Right.
Just like do the next best thing.
Yeah. I still think about standing in front of cars. So I mean, it's basically the same thing.
Before you do it, just Google ground start paramotor and look at the pictures, and you won't do it.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's not worth it. It's not. I mean, I don't see any reason to ground start. I mean, and
if you do it, you'll only do it once.
Yeah. And Larry, has dual start. So, people that got electric start, that's even more reason not to ground start. They don't on the factory yard, they don't give you the option to have electric start. You can only pull start it. But like I said, first pull, it started. So I'm happy with that. If it takes me more than 3 pulls, I'd be surprised. I'd have to have primed it way too much and flooded it because it usually within 3 pulls, it's running every time.
Yeah. Well, I just put a new starter on mine recently that I got from Dave Jewell at Blue Sky in California. And man, this starter is wicked. I mean, it just zips that thing up so fast. And it's, I'm an old guy. I don't want to pull start and I'll electric start all the time. I rarely ever pull start unless I had the starter motor off for a while earlier this year.
Give it a couple of weeks. I got a pull start for you when you get out here.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Back to Dan's mishap, not a mishap per se, but just bad luck on that day that we were going to make his first flight. He was pull starting and the rope went back in and caught the flywheel and just wound up in the flywheel. I mean, what a freaking mess, you know. I mean, he had to take a lot of crap off the engine just to get to that.
Yep, and
I'm a
if
big
the
proponent-
motor would have started, we would have been in worse case.
Yeah, yeah. You know, but I got to give a shout out to Dave Jewell. He's got these starters built custom. They will fit about 5 or 6 different motors. I put mine on and I use a 14.4 volt LiPo, and man, it just, you hit that button. I've got a cross country throttle, and you just hit the start button. It's running right now. You know, Dan
This
hit
is
the nail on the
electric?
head though earlier. If it's not starting after 3 tries with electric or 3 or 4 tries pulling, something else is going on.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It
Yep.
was a gas motor with an electric start, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just for the first time yesterday or the day before, I put an electric paramotor on my back. The Open PPG.
Okay.
That thing is incredible. I mean,
Well, I'm thinking,
I could not hold it back. I can full power the motor and hold it back. I could not
Yeah.
do that with the electric
I'm
one.
thinking about maybe a couple of those for training rigs at some point in time.
Mhm.
You know, not messing with full starters, electric starters, starters in general, mixing gas, doing it, just plugging batteries in at the end of the day. And I'm not a big EV guy, you know, I don't have an electric car, you know, whatever. I got my opinions on that, but, so did you fly it or did you just put it on your back?
I did not fly it, but I mean, I felt the power on my back and I felt the response of the throttle, and
Yeah.
it felt really good actually. Even though it's about the same as with the Moster, the weight wise, the way that
Right.
it's positioned on your back, it's higher up. It feels much lighter.
Okay. Interesting.
So
Yeah.
the
Well,
max
I'm
number is
not
an
a
hour
big
and a
fan.
half for me. Once they hit that hour and a half flight time with the battery technology, I think I'm going to be all over that.
Yep. I was
Yes,
just
I'm
gonna
right
say,
with you. The battery technology hasn't got quite there enough to spend the money.
Yeah.
well,
As soon
I
as
think it
solid
would be,
state batteries get cheap enough, that's when it'll be on the market and
Yeah.
be profitable to do it that way.
and I think it'd be fine for training because, you know, like when Dan made his first flight, we were at a sod farm. I don't think he flew for 9 minutes, 7 minutes, you know? I mean, I think it's a
Well,
great,
it probably didn't help that our comms died when I ended up 200 feet off the ground.
right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I was
But-
going to ask Dan, on your first flight, were you tempted to get in your seat early? That's a big thing. I know my first flight, I kind of got scooped into my seat. That's probably because I wasn't leaning back. I know if you're leaning kind of forward when you go to launch, once that wing catches, it will scoop you up before you need to actually get scooped, and then you'll just come right down into the ground from the weight. So were you tempted to jump in your seat, or you were just like, no, I'm going to go until I'm 10 feet in the air before I stop running?
No, it was actually a couple weeks ago when I saw the 3-year videos and everything when I first started, up to close to 10 flights. I was the idiot that looked like a fool, running until you're way up in the air, hanging out of the harness until everything was checked, and then figure out how to get into the seat.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, their first flights, they'll take off and they'll be running way up into the air. Make sure, because I thought I was in the air, because that wing will fool you. You feel the weight come off of you and you're like, oh, I'm in the air, but you're not. So wait until you're in the air before you try to get in your seat.
Yeah. And then hit a dead spot and then go buy a new prop.
There, exactly. Yeah, right back into the ground and
Yep.
boom, props
Been there.
break easy.
Been there. Yep. Yep. Well, I got to give Dan props because we built really good habit patterns, and that was one of them. Don't stop running until you feel like you're ridiculous.
That's the other thing, depending on your instructor, like Larry instructed Daniel, right? So everything that Larry taught you becomes instilled in your brain. So everything that you do when you set up to whether you do your pre-flight or everything you're doing, it like automatically snaps in your head. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important for training. I mean, if you do your own, if you do self-train, you're like bouncing all over. Okay, am I missing this? Am I missing that? When you go through training, it's like systematic. You're like, okay, I need this, and then you've checked everything before you go to take off, because I mean that's the most important thing, being safe before you even try to launch. Because if you launch, you got a riser twist or something real bad. That's when bad accidents happen.
Yeah.
You go to pull your brake
Yes.
and you got a riser twist, your brake's gonna pull and stay pulled, and you're gonna spiral right back down into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pretty much do the same exact procedure from my very first flight till my flight a couple days ago,
There you
with the
go.
exception of a few minor tweaks.
Yeah, it's just a habit forming thing that you get accustomed to, and you just do over and over again. So you've checked everything, so you're good to go.
The more you practice, the luckier you get.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
The luckier you get.
Yep. Practice. You'll end up lucky, or so it seems. But yeah, it's no different than skydiving or flying airplanes. You got to have a habit pattern. And
Yeah.
if it's taught to students correctly from the beginning, they'll follow it. It'll serve them well. It has with Dan. He's going to pass me up, I'm sure, one of these days, which is great. I love to hear that. I love to see that.
Yeah, I'm about ready to get my instructor rating and try to utilize the 20 acres behind the house.
Oh,
Good.
there you go.
Good.
Nice.
Perfect. And then when you retire, you can come here and instruct, and we'll go fishing.
I mean, I don't know
If
that-
I can talk the wife into getting rid of all the pigs and the goats and the chickens so I can move without them.
Wow.
I don't know the exact numbers. I'd say within the last 2 or 3 years, the amount of paramotor pilots have increased tenfold, if not more. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of people that's getting into paramotoring now.
We had 192 registered up at Moonshiners in August.
Wow.
192.
Yes, it's
a lot
a good
for
thing that more
moonshiners.
people are getting into the sport, but when you're in smaller communities and a handful of those people don't get the correct instruction and or just disregard the way we're supposed to fly,
Right.
it creates problems and you start
Right.
to end up losing LZs and you can't fly certain places.
Right.
There's
That's why
a
I
few
bought
bad
my own.
apples. Yeah.
That's why I bought my own.
Definitely a few bad apples. It happens with almost anything. I'm more worried about this whole Amazon delivery drone thing getting in the way of our flight, and what altitude are they going to have to fly at, compared to what we do. If they start delivering Amazon packages with drones, are we going to have to look out for these drones? Or the drones are going to have some kind of avoidance system? What's going to
They're
happen?
going to have some sort of avoidance system. You can't just fly something, blind up there. That's ridiculous. I mean, you
Right.
can't,
Well,
you can't even do that with
Regular
personal drones. Yeah.
drones are good at avoiding, but they're good at avoiding steel things, not usually moving things that much that I've seen
Right.
in the technology that we have. I mean, maybe it gets better, but I'm worried about the fact that we're actually moving at a decent speed, the drone being able to get out of the way.
Well, look at the Cessna Caravan and the paramotor crash down in Texas a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Now, I have my opinions because I've flown both types of vehicles, and if I'm flying a Caravan, I'm not looking for paramotors at 5,000 feet above the ground, So, don't fly your paramotor 5,000 feet above the ground near an airport,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're good at seeing and avoiding, but that's all well and good. But what are you going to do? Hit
Until
the
you're
throttle
hot,
to get
yeah.
away?
It's
mean-
it's not even like if you know that you're going to be doing something like that, it's not even like you can't put up your own NOTAM. I mean, you can put a NOTAM up for the following
Sure.
day saying, hey, be careful. I'm going to be flying up to 10,000 feet in this particular area. So people are looking out for you.
Yeah, you can do that. Anybody can do that. I'm sure once I've got things rocking here, there'll be a permanent NOTAM over at the airport because it's only 3 miles away.
Hmm.
Paramotor activity in the vicinity, just like you see the little skydiving icon on sectional charts for skydiving centers,
Yeah.
That may
Got
even
those
be
here for sure.
that may even be something that happens with the FAA at some point in time, and we get our own little icon that there is paramotor activity at this airport. Keep your head on a swivel, you know. And I've seen it from both sides of the equation, you know. If I'm flying an airplane, even my airplane only goes 100 miles an hour. I only have a fraction of a second to avoid something like a ultralight or a paramotor, you know. And I mean, yeah, if you're flying near a bigger city, yeah, that's might be an issue that you would have to consider more closely. One of the reasons I bought here is because we can fly all over the place. There's a bunch of grass strips within 10 or 12 miles of my place. We can do some neat cross countries, you know, and there's no traffic at the airport, much less around.
That's a question I got for you. Since you can fly from your front door, do you get bored of flying that same area over and over again?
A little bit.
No.
A little bit?
No.
Yeah, but not bad. I mean,
John says no, and you're saying a
No.
little bit.
No,
That's what I'm trying
no.
to.
You get your coffee in the morning and you go out in your front door and go fly. No, because I can go in any direction. You know, 20 or 50 miles on a paramotor and come back. I mean, I am never without going someplace I've never been.
I will say there's a lot of agriculture here. It's flat. It's flat like a table here. They call this low country. You know, there's high country in South Carolina. You know, the highest peak in South Carolina is 3,500 feet. People don't know that. And then there's low country, you know, I'm at 140 feet. And it just slopes to the ocean and it's only 50 miles away, 50 air miles away. So there's not a lot to see out here, but there's some pretty good sized ponds and a lake nearby here and little towns and, you know,
it just makes me think. I'm just wondering if you get bored of seeing the same thing over and over. I'm just happy to fly myself, but I think some people get bored. They're like, oh, I need a new place to fly. I want to see new things, but I mean, I'm just happy to be flying myself.
Yeah,
so.
and I don't disagree with that. I mean, when I was out in Idaho this summer and got to fly with Dan and some of the other guys, yeah, what a treat. You know, here's the mountains again, and I can go play around up in the foothills and, you know, go down low over the river. And around here, yes, it's flat. There are a lot of trees and there are a lot of swamps, and you don't want to be in either one of them. If something goes south or land in either one of them, you know, we got gators down here. We got 5 different species of poisonous snakes. You don't want to go in the water or the swamp, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. And nobody wants to go in the
I think it
trees,
goes along with, depends on what territory you're in. I've been flying from my backyard for over 3 years and I still have yet to get bored and can still find new places and new things to see.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's what I thought.
And on the same note, you can always paracamp. So you can like go from your LZ, find a cool spot, land there, come back the next day, and it's going to be different.
Yeah.
My
Well,
experience is different, and that I am kind of bored of flying at my LZ. You know, maybe it's because I've done it day in and day out and day in and day out.
And where are you, Will?
I'm in the Raleigh area, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've flown skydivers up there at Triangle.
That's where I fly out of.
Oh, at the airport?
Yeah, at the airport.
Okay, I've flown over at the over at Cadence Sky Sports.
Yeah.
For red shoes, that's Will. There you go.
They've moved off site to another airport to the north.
Yeah.
That other grass field, there's a grass strip up there. They just moved there, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so I like to mix it up a little bit if I can, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Will's a different case. I mean, he may fly out of the same place all the time, but Will goes to a lot of fly-ins where he gets to experience different areas. So I can't see him getting that bored because he does get to go to different areas to fly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I'll say
that's right. But if I only flew out of my local LZ every time, and you know, kind of
right.
I don't think
I
I
go in a
could
different direction each time.
ever.
North, west, south, east. Then
I don't think I could
use them all up.
ever get bored out of going out
bored
one LZ.
Sport is in the eyes of the beholder, though, too, guys. You know.
Yes.
If you end up bored, just pull the brakes a little harder.
True.
Go take a civ course, man. I got some great still photos of the canopy. It looks like it wadded up into a ball of shit. you know, and go take a civ course if you're getting bored.
Yeah.
I'm
won't be
good.
bored after
I'll stick with boring. I'm good.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
No,
was
that is fun.
boring.
that was interesting. That was pretty interesting. But
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only place that I took through a reserve was at a SIV course.
yeah, I haven't had. I came close to throwing one a few summers ago. I was doing some wing overs and I went negative and I got line twists at about 700 feet.
Wow.
And it was such a snap at the bottom that it popped the lead off of the ignition coil, killed the engine.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Kevin,
I didn't know that at the time.
So go ahead.
So I got down to about 200 feet and hit the start button and nothing happened. Oh, okay. And I went into an agricultural field. I got out of the line twist, so that wasn't a big deal, but the wing was still inflated. Yeah, I've got line twists, so I'm not going to throw a reserve. The wing's inflated. I'm over a huge field. It's not an issue, but ironically, it was only about 300 yards from the local fire department. And so
Convenient.
Nice.
these guys come out, drive the truck like 200 yards and go, "Hey, are you okay? Yeah, you guys can go back to whatever you're doing. I'm good."
Go back, wash the truck some more.
Yeah, I had to make 2 trips out of the field, one with the wing and one with the gear, because it was some agricultural field and it was wet. And, I almost lost a shoe in the mud. And it just, don't go negative on a wing over.
Kevin, did you only get that one flight? I think you said you were going to go back there in November to fly again. Did you just get that one flight in?
Just that one flight.
Oh, damn. You got to be itching for another flight, man.
I am very much so.
Okay. I was really worried. I was like, man, Kevin, I don't know if he got to fly more than once. One flight, it's like, oh my God, you got to be itching so bad to fly again.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, dude. I'd be freaking out right now if it was me.
Get up in the morning and get it together and go fly.
He's got to drive back out to Sean's place and, go fly.
It's a 3-hour drive from
work,
my house.
Work will always be there.
3 hours.
Yeah.
So November what?
November 10th, 11th, and 12th.
10th, 11th. Oh, damn. That's when our granddaughter's getting born. Okay, well.
Just whatever.
Videotape it.
Priorities, man. You gotta come down.
I haven't flown in a few weeks, but because I've been doing 1,000 other things, but we get fog in the morning and I'm really tempted to launch when the fog is a little thin so I can get up on top of it. Because it always burns
Me
off,
and you both.
Yeah.
So is fog clouds? Because if it's free and clear of clouds, they didn't say anything about fog, right?
Well, I'm also in the middle of nowhere, which is nice.
I haven't had a flight like that yet with low clouds to where I can get up above them. Well, actually, there was one time when I could have done it, but I would have had to go to 3,500 feet. And this was like at flight 5 or something. I'm like, no, I just wasn't comfortable going that high. So I was like, nah.
Yeah, what if you fell from that height? That'd be terrible.
Well, if I figured, even when I went hang gliding, they were like, you can go 2,000 feet and you get to hang glide down for like 5 minutes, or we'll take you to 5,000 feet and it's 20 minutes. I was like, hell, I'll die at 2,000. Take me to 5,000. I might as well go all the way.
Yeah.
It just gets cold at 5,000.
It did get a lot cooler, but it was 90 degrees on the ground. So that was awesome to go up that high.
Yeah. Well, that flight I made to 10,000 feet was pretty damn cold, and it was in July.
Woo!
Yep.
10,000 feet. Man.
Yeah. We took off at 3,800 though. We only had to climb 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
But even in the summer, 10,000 feet at 9 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning or something like that. Yeah, dude, you don't spend a lot of time up there. You take your pictures and you go back to the camp.
It's below zero up there 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it was pretty damn cold. It was really cold.
Hell, I'm in a flood zone. I'm like 2 feet below sea level where I live. So I'm low.
Boy, those launches must be amazing.
They're so easy. I don't even have to think. The wing just comes up. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go.
Yeah. But when you have a breeze at Salton Sea, it feels like you got about 38 horsepower, you know? Yeah, it's pretty cool being 200 feet below sea level,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, that's fun flying down there.
Yeah, go to Moonshiners and try not only being up at a couple thousand feet and the wind is going around like this.
Yeah.
I
Well,
look
you were,
forward to
you
that.
was at Moonshiners, weren't you, Larry? You were at
Yeah,
Moonshiners.
yeah, I was there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was a good time. I had flown skydivers up there, so I'd met Dave, the airport manager, and got to know him pretty good. In fact, I was just up there a couple weeks ago flying skydivers again. Yeah, he says, I mentioned something about paramotors, and he says, well, we have this event. And I said, well, I'm
Yeah.
coming.
You know
Yeah.
Linda?
Yeah, I know her real well.
Yeah, she's
She's
really
awesome.
nice.
Yeah,
So-
she's awesome.
I'm
Yep.
gonna ask Will this question. If you had 2 events that you could go to next year, what would those 2 events be?
You should ask everybody. You should ask
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody. I'll ask everybody. If 2 events, you can only go to 2 events, 2 fly-ins next year, what would those 2 fly-ins be?
Moonshiners won.
Yeah.
Gorgeous at Moonshiners.
Dude, that's really tough, man.
Yeah.
I know it is tough, but that's my choices. I think I can hit 2 fly-ins next year. And I
Where
gotta
do you
choose
live?
between Bad
Apples.
Apples, Moonshiners, Dave Purdon's. I don't even know.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, March 21st is the second annual Fly It for Gauge.
Oh, and Fly It for Gauge. I forgot about that. That's
So
another.
I'm gonna have to make it 3 because I'm gonna go to that regardless.
Mhm.
If Fly It for Gauge weren't around, it would definitely be Moonshiners and Purdons. I mean, Bad Apples. Gosh, there's Moonshiners too.
I
Shoot.
know.
I cannot-
Yeah,
I
see,
can't
when
do
you're
it.
limited, it makes it hard. It makes it
Can't
really
do it,
hard.
man.
Bad apples. Bad apples for sure.
Yep.
Gauge for
Moonshiners.
gauge for sure.
The scenery up at Moonshiners is worth everything, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
So
You know?
is the scenery better at Moonshiners or Dave Purdon's? Because Dave Purdon's looks pretty cool too.
Moonshiners.
Moonshiners?
Yeah,
Damn.
it's awesome. It's stunning. Moonshiners is awesome. Yeah.
Bad Apples for the people, Moonshiners for the good people too, but it's just the most beautiful backdrop for paramotors that I've seen.
I don't know. I'm pretty stuck on my backyard.
Daniel's like backyard and backyard. There we go.
And
Well,
don't
I'm putting
forget
up on my
next
front
year.
yard, and I also have a lot of side yard and backyard too. Like I said, when
Well,
All
Sean's
right,
gonna.
so
I'll have 30
all right,
acres.
my backyard and your front yard next year.
Okay,
Sean's gonna say the eclipse for one.
Eclipse
okay, that's
not
the
a-
deal.
for sure, right?
That's the deal.
Actually, next year, we plan on hitting every major fly-in next year.
Good.
Oh,
Across the
well,
country?
Yes.
Wow.
so much for limiting Sean to 2. He's like, screw you. I'm going to like all of them.
The last couple of years haven't been able to because we got the school up and running, the nonprofit. So now it's like we got to go to every single one.
That,
Look at
that's-
Butch.
see,
Look
that's
at
the
Butch. He's
issue.
like,
What about, see, now that the school's started, the school's probably going to be busier. How are you going to be able to get away to go to these fly-ins if you have
hire more instructors.
Okay, well, hey, if you
Bring
know,
all the students with me to the fly-ins.
there you go. Hey, if y'all want to get trained, you're going to have to come to Utah or wherever the hell.
Yeah.
I got you.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
We're gonna take that weekend off.
Oh, yeah, well, we want to go down to Columbia also and do that Columbia thing with my dog's choking. Chris Wheeler,
Oh.
right?
There you go.
Chris
Yeah.
Wheeler has that thing.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously, if you got students, you can plan the schedule around it. Okay, well, this is the fly-in, so I'm not going to do any students this week, and then I can take students afterwards. So yeah, you got it. You can set it all up yourself.
Or
Yes, Amy says he would go to Bad Apples and Gauge. Fly
Bad
for
apples
Gauge.
and Gauge. Gauge is so far, man. But I mean, if I went to Gauge, I'd just fly down there and on a plane, not on a paramotor, and then just hang out because I wouldn't be able to bring my gear. I'm not taking my gear on a plane. Damn that.
That's what
Everybody's
we did.
circumstance is different.
That's what we did to EFG.
You just
this,
need to
this
start a
year.
YouTube channel and do it like the Canadian Jim with his
Yeah.
maple smelling money and travel and make videos.
Damn that, man. You seen his van? It's like falling apart and crap. No, I don't need 500,000 miles on my car.
Tony says bad apples and fly it for Gage.
Yeah.
That was flat
No.
gauge.
Bad apples.
No,
and
excuse
you-
me. I'm sorry. Flying circus and fly it for Gage.
Oh, flying
I would-
circus.
We definitely
Oh.
got to do circus. We may not go down there with our gear for circus, but we'll go down there for sure to watch it because that just looks crazy as hell.
It
That's
does
about-
look crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts, you guys. Let me tell you. A lot of people flying, airplanes coming in and out, guns and ammo and all kinds of wild things going on there. Some guy was the first year I was there, some guy was flying this paramotor after dark, didn't have any lights on it. And you can just hear him doing wing overs and doing all kinds of shit. And I thought, this guy's gonna die, you know?
Wow.
And it's 23 miles from the nearest pavement.
Wow.
So you are out there. It's
Wow.
insane. It's a good time, you know, but it's pretty insane. There's a lot of activity out there.
I hope-
So could you go out and have a good time even if you didn't fly?
Yeah. Anything you think you might need though for that weekend, you better take with you because you're not going back to town.
Mhm.
It's 23 miles to the nearest pavement and then about another 10 miles to the nearest town. So that'd be 2 hours, you know, hour and a half to get to the next town, you know, but it's a pretty cool place. You know, Mo is very eclectic. He's an interesting character, you know, there's a lot of activity, you know, and when the sun starts going down and people are putting their wings and toys away, they bring out a 50 cal machine gun with tracers and, you know, it's just mayhem. It's awesome. You know?
Mm.
Hopefully by next year we'll have a fixed wing and I'll have my pilot's license and we'll just fly over there to circus.
Yeah.
Oh,
way
if you
easier.
get your pilot's
Yeah.
license, you got it made. Then you can just fly to all the fly-ins and bring your gear right
Yeah.
along with you.
I know what I'm
Wow.
thinking.
That would be awesome, Sean. You should do that. Be like, hell, we'll just fly to. All right, we're there. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Now we'll get a
See you in a little
paramotor
bit.
out and fly them.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
that sounds great.
well, guys,
you know what
my phone is bleeding power and I'm getting pretty low.
Uh-oh.
So
We've already went well beyond what we normally do, but
I told Larry, it's like, don't tell me that, you know, you can stay out here as long as you want to, because we've done over 5-hour podcasts before.
This was,
well, I appreciate
long.
the invite, guys. And
yeah, thank you,
Supergirl.
Larry.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Larry. Definitely appreciate you. Had some really
And,
awesome stories.
everybody come and visit down here. You'll fall in love with the property. It's a sleeper. You pull in off of a quiet paved road and take a long dirt road out to the campground and man, just spectacular sunrises and like I said, 30 acres of open area. I mean, I love going up to Moonshiners, but it gets a little busy, a little crowded up there with everybody trying to use a fairly finite amount of space.
Yeah.
You won't have that problem here. You know,
I put your Facebook link down below in the description, so you
Very
guys
cool.
go over there and check them out and
yeah,
friend
yeah.
them.
Send me friend requests, definitely. And then you can kind of keep up on what's happening. We're kind of at a lull right now. I have 17 piles of stumps I got to burn. Some of the piles are as big as a house,
damn,
Oh,
literally.
man.
Yeah. So
bonfire.
Sounds like a good time
Yeah.
with a cocktail.
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of bonfires going on here for a while. So, but yeah, we should, even if I don't have the campground done, obviously we can still camp, you know.
Right.
I get porta johns and whatever brought in and food trucks and, you know, so I think we got the potential to put something on the map, so to speak, and make this a destination, not just for paramotor folks, but powered parachutes and, you know, ultralights, experimentals, whatever, you know.
Nice.
Should be awesome when it's done,
Can't
which it
wait.
will never
It's
be
fun.
completely done, if you know what I mean.
Never done.
No,
Yeah.
never done.
Never done.
I don't even know how you sleep at night right now, Larry.
Oh, Man,
Jeez.
I'm
I bet your
so
mind
busy.
just going ring, 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 ring.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, like I tell people, you know, I'm not young, but
not?
but
What?
I
What?
I go in first gear for 14 hours every day. And that's how you get shit done, man. You know,
Yeah.
Going slow. There you go.
nobody gets to the top of a mountain in fourth gear. You just can't do it.
No.
Go in first gear all day long, all
Okay.
day long. So that's what you got to do.
Yep, I just
Absolutely.
get up every morning, throw my Supergirl outfit on, and I'm out the door. And I tell you what, I'm gone all day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so
So-
she's Supergirl. Who are you, Sean?
I'm cowboy grandpa. I don't know.
See, I thought you know who I thought you were? I thought
What?
you were Sean Wayne.
No, we already know there's a John Wayne in the.
Oh, I
Super-
said Sean Wayne.
Oh,
John
oh.
Wayne. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Larry, you've been
John
awesome,
Wayne,
man. Thank
yeah.
you. Really.
Yes.
Hey,
There you go.
appreciate
Hey,
it, everybody.
Larry.
Nice,
Thank you,
nice
Larry.
meeting you. Nice
I got
meeting you, folks.
I got a Halloween joke really quick.
Go
Okay.
for
Okay.
it.
All right. I saw this on I thought it was really cute. Why don't monsters eat ghosts?
Why don't monsters eat ghosts?
Yes. Because they taste like sheep.
Like sheets. Ah! Okay, one more. Why don't skeletons fight each other?
Why what?
Why don't skeletons fight each other?
Why?
Because they don't have the guts.
Oh.
It only
That's
goes downhill from here.
Good.
Oh
Right, so you're
Lord,
not
we're
missing
really,
Oh,
really going down now. No reserve or
I just-
anything. Damn.
I gotta rat you out. I gotta rat my buddy out.
Go for it.
Dan must have been flying for about an hour and a half. Guess what?
What?
He's got to go pee.
I've got
I get a text message.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, guys.
Bladder
Dude, you
control,
gotta get that
man.
bladder
Bladder
looked at.
control.
Well, I hope to meet
That's
you
what
folks
happens
in
when you get
person.
old.
Come
Yeah.
on down.
All right.
Come on down.
Definitely.
Yep. Fly
Thank you,
safe,
Larry,
everybody.
buddy.
yeah.
Have a good one, man.